So I honestly absolutely loved Wonka. I think it's such a good movie and literally such a breath of fresh air. And Roald Dahl's novel, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, obviously has got a bit of a dark edge to it, and that definitely is in this movie. But what I love is that it definitely is its own interpretation as well. And I just think the origin storylines of the Willy Wonka character is just executed so well. And it's just such a family movie that literally everybody can enjoy, kids and adults alike. And I just think all of the performances, the way in which this story is executed, all of the messages that are being conveyed, all of the characters, every single thing about this movie was so good. And I absolutely loved the way in which it was balancing being larger than life and spectacular, whilst also being really compact and focused, as it's not a story of, somebody taking over the world or the destruction of the universe. It's actually really focused on one location, a couple of different characters, and you really do get to know all of them as you spend so much time with them. So you're laughing with them, you're crying with them, you're in shock with them, and I just think it's so good in terms of really bringing the audience along in this brilliant adventure. And I love it how you're really rooting for the Willy Wonka character, as he is just so sweet, he's so innocent, he literally has nothing, he is willing to rough it and even be homeless. And then when you find out even more about his backstory pertaining to the events that happened just before this movie started, it really does pull on your heartstrings. And this character has to contend with a number of evil people that are really manipulative and actually try to kill him on a number of different occasions. So like I said, this movie doesn't shy away from the fact that there are a lot of dark things that take place within the Willy Wonka world, and they definitely are in this movie, but I really do love how it really does show that goodness and hope and all of those positive attributes really do triumph at the end of the day. And I love it how even though it's from Warner Brothers, it definitely has properties from different other studios. So for example, the musical numbers that of course Disney is known for, and the Pinocchio type innocence that the lead character of Willy Wonka, I mean, he's not as naive as Pinocchio is, but I feel like that aspect of the character definitely is in here. And of course, very similar to the Paddington movies in terms of all of the adventures, all of the escapades, all of the good and evil characters, but they aren't just caricatures, they really are layered evil characters. So you really can see it in terms of their dark motivations and how they are willing to just keep up all of their evil, dark, nefarious plans at the expense of Willy Wonka and a number of other characters, so they don't really care about the collateral damage. So actually these characters are really, really evil and really damaged. And so I have to say, Paul King has done such a good job in directing this movie, alongside of course writing and directing both of the Paddington movies. So not only is it really believable and zany at the same time, it is super heartwarming, and all of the musical numbers are really, really good. It's really interesting how in the advertising material for this movie, they definitely shied away from the fact that actually this is a bit of a musical movie, but I feel like the musical numbers really do add and inject so much emotion in terms of all of the little times that they do pop up. And it's incredibly funny, really, really humorous, and all of the actors don't shy away from literally throwing themselves into all of the comedic moments. And in turn, the audience are able to have such a good time. The set design, honestly, is just flawless. I feel like everything just looks so great. And like I said, I love it, the fact that it is so focused on a couple of different streets in London, as you definitely can climatize yourself within this world. And interestingly, there is a Wonka theatrical experience, and in some respects, I feel like the cinematography is really clever, and it really does feel like a theatrical production is coming to life. And I loved it, like I said before, how they just balance so many different things. For example, all of the action moments, all of the comedic moments, all of the upsetting moments, all of the tender moments. There will be at least one scene where you are nearly going to shed a tear, which I think is really, really clever, as it definitely does hit a lot of different emotional moments. And it's incredibly well paced, as it never feels too rushed, but actually does pack in a lot of different storylines with a lot of the different characters. As like I said, individually, you get to feel where all of them are coming from, and you get to spend a lot of time with all of them. So it's not just Willy Wonka, you get to see all of the evil, nefarious things taking place behind the scenes too. And on that point, I love how there's different levels of villains, and you can definitely feel all of the top evil people that are really greedy, and they definitely do want to steal from people who don't have enough money, which is just so barbaric when you think about it. And then there's a lot of other evil people that do want to trap a lot of the good characters. So honestly, or from a social commentary perspective, this movie just works on so many different levels. And like I said, all of the musical numbers, good characters and evil characters, you definitely can see a lot of things in terms of where they're coming from. And I love the lesson of all is trying to read the small print, as this tends to be something that people neglect. and then it can unfortunately bite you in the backside if you're not too careful. And you yourself as an audience member definitely want to participate in terms of this world, and you want to be part of this world as well, which I think is always a good sign in terms of true escapism at its best. And it just captures your imagination, like I said, in the best way possible. I honestly can't praise this movie enough, as I just had such a good time with it. And I was not expecting to. I was thinking it's going to be an average movie, but it was so much better than I thought it would be. And I have to give a massive standing ovation to Timothée Chalamet, who was just pure class. And you can literally just see a star rising in front of you. As Timothée Chalamet's future, you just know is going to be so bright, no pun intended. And I just feel like he owns this role completely. I was just fully believing that this guy really is Willy Wonka. And I just think he delivers on all of the different aspects that you would expect him to. For example, all of the musical numbers, all of the action moments, all of the really sad moments, all of the character interactions, and just the pure innocence of this character right in the beginning. And just the fact that he is able to learn so much. So I really do feel like his character trajectory from where he is in the beginning of this movie to where he is by the end of it is not only really impressive, but you really are there for the ride along the way. And because he's just such a nice guy, you really are rooting for him because of all of his hopes, all of his dreams, all of his ambitions, which is something fundamentally that a lot of people can relate to. And then you literally see it all being destroyed in front of you because evil people don't want him to succeed. So it's just so good. The writing was just so good, because at moments where you think, this is going to be his happily ever after, it's completely robbed of him, and people are just so destructive, quite literally. So it's just so upsetting, and like I said, you really are rooting for this character as a result. Noodle was a really unexpectedly great supporting character. She also has a bit of a sad backstory, and actually she becomes Willy Wonka's assistant in the best way possible. And Willy Wonka really does take her under his wing, and he's really protective of her, and he really wants her to have her happy ending. So I feel like as a partnership, these two characters are really, really good. Hugh Grant, my goodness, he is just on a roll right now. He was obviously in Operation Fortune, he was obviously in Dungeons and Dragons, he was in The Undoing not too long ago. So I love his renaissance right now because he's playing such darker characters. And I feel like as an Oompa Loompa, he was just so funny and just so good. And where you've seen CGI not quite working within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, actually, over here is really believable, surprisingly. All of the chocolatiers, I think, are really threatening, especially from Willy Wonka's business dreams, as you can literally see that he is going to be successful, and he should be successful, because the product that he is launching is actually really, really innovative, and is actually really loved. And obviously these experienced people from a business perspective are not wanting him to enter into their territory, so will do anything and everything to push him away and to make sure that his dreams are dashed and actually that he dies. So I honestly think the evil characters from a chocolatier's perspective are really, really evil. And then we have Olivia Colman, who really does play a bit of a Charles Dickens type villain, and also, like I said, does operate in a different villainy capacity, as she wants to trap him. So I feel like all of the rich people are exploiting the poor, and also other people within that level just being really exploitative as well. Such brilliant social commentary, and you can really feel all of the burden on these nice characters as a result. Keegan-Michael Key was hilarious too. I feel like he was so good as the fox in the Pinocchio movie. And I think as a representative of rich people within the police community, he definitely did show that anybody can be brought. As you would think that the chief of police is not going to be able to be bribed, but little do you know, he is able to be super bribed by chocolate, no less. So it was really sad and disappointing to see, somebody within such a powerful position that Willy Wonka should actually be able to go to with all of his concerns actually is on the other people's side. I thought Rowan Atkinson was decent as the Twisted Priest, but I just wanted so much more from him, as he is just so funny. Of course, in Mr. Bean, Johnny English, man versus bee, and I just thought he could have just done a little bit more. And I just love the Scrub crew, as they were really individualized as characters, and I just love this motley crew that Willy Wonka was unexpectedly able to create, as they actually did work really nicely as a team. As similarly, they have been exploited and taken advantage of by these horrible people. So I think as a crew, they were really, really good. And also then when they see Willy Wonka's dreams also being dashed, then they similarly are feeling really disappointed as a result of this. So I honestly can't praise Wonka enough. I thought it was such a brilliant movie, and I just think it has humongous potential for a sequel, which we'll hopefully get, as like I said, there is so much material within this universe for them to explore, even before Charlie and the Chocolate Factory even takes place. So I just cannot wait to just see more, as like I said, it's so rich, so vibrant, and just such a brilliant little world. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Wonka a solid 7.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Wonka? Are you excited to watch it? What do you think the future's going to hold? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.